Good evening, guys. Kind of Tortoise Capital nightly strategy podcast for October 28th, 2022, Friday night edition. So we'll start with our regression line fractal framework. I want you to notice that we have pretty good feelings going into today and coming out of today. Everything is up. Surely that's a good sign, even though there's an election ahead next week and still a full weekend of shenanigans. But let's just look at what happened the last three times on this chart that we had a bottoming action and a rebound that crossed the RL270 and gave us reasons to hope. This one didn't even quite get there, but we're going to give them credit. In every case, that rounded off and got smashed down. That's what happens in bear markets. And so, not saying that this can't continue to go. I mean, the last time it did that, it actually cleared that little Bollinger Band noise ribbon that accompanies the RL270 all the way down. That's the noise ribbon on the far side of fair value. And this time we just got into it a little bit. So last time it gave us another couple days before it rolled over and then had three legs down. So this was pretty strong going into the weekend. We could see it getting to this price level above 400. So there's still a tactical trade space in here. But until it gives above 425, or even 430, it hasn't done anything. It has to get above 430 to be good. Now, if this fails coming out of this critical state, we would see, the RL270, the belly of the dragon, the bottom of the RL10, all of those as opportunities to find support for another rebound. But if it breaks below the belly of the RL10 and the RL30, say 360, it's lookout below. But we're going to know something this week when the elections happen. So just be mindful that this is a bear normal market, and this is what it does to the unwitting. When you walk into a bear's cave after a winter and he's starting to wake up, that's what happens. Let's shift to some sniper trades of the day. This is Alcoa, and we will recall that the metals were in a state of alert and ready to get their Godzilla on. And this is the opening range 3. And I watched it roll over. Couldn't make a new high. And then made a 1, 2, 3 entry. So I just decided to get short here because I already had a standard risk box to the upside. And I didn't want to wait for it to break below here. I'd rather make money in that tactical space. So I elected for the 1, 2, 3 entry. Now it gave me some sideways price action, but when it confirmed the breaking of the belly of the RL10 and it didn't fail, even though that's only about 3/4 of an hour in hand, I decided to go because, as we said yesterday, today had a good chance of being a violent day. On the break of this consolidation area, I treated that as similar to a collapsing dragon. I just added a third position. My stop at this point I can't have it break even on the second position, because then if the first position comes back here, then that cancels my first position and I'm net flat. So I can't be here when I'm adding a third position. But where I can be is right above the peak of that, so that this one at worst is going to become a scratch and the other two are in the money. I wasn't that good. I held. Wouldn't recommend it. I'd recommend you take that exit. I didn't. I took this exit, and so I was rewarded for violating my rules, and I got to watch that in myself. Now, one of the reasons I elected to do that is because the entire metal complex was getting smashed today, and this was the position I was in. So we'll see how that goes. All right, this is Devon Energy. This is our, let's see. This is our opening here. Yesterday's close. Gaps up, rolls over. You have the RL10 peaks. It crosses the baby dragon, enters the dragon, crosses the spine, leaves the dragon, and now we're at Fisher cut bait time as it approaches the PSAR flip, and now we are also in collapsing dragon territory. Could we have played this one? Yeah, but I was on the metals, and I don't like diverting my attention that much, so I gave it some room and some time, and took the PSAR flip when the RL10 broke the PSAR. Took the standard wrist box, which is, just above the peak of the dragon, so that feels natural. And this thing could be in free fall, and it is for second position on the break of that consolidation zone and the R10 wiggle. Take the third position short. Standard exit after three positions at the edge of the dragon, and that's a 1, 2, 3. So this is a 1, 2, 3 at the peak of that one. I just take it. So if that's 1 unit of risk, you get 1, 2, 3 on the first one. Second one gets 2. Third one gets about 1. So roughly 6 R for that one. And that was enough for this morning on Devon. Intel, so the semis were the other sector that we were looking at. Now this one is later in the morning, after I had gotten out of some of those other trades. I had some time and attention, and I'm noticing the descending highs, descending lows. I've noticed the PSAR flip here, so everything's pointing down. And it gives me an SSC. Sorry about that. We seem to have lost the interweb for a minute. All right, so now we'll shift to Intel. So the semiconductor was the other broad sector that we were especially interested in today. And what we noticed, so this is about a couple hours into the session. See if I can't get our annotation. Yeah. All right, so there was a sell-off. Down here we saw the lower lows. The PSAR got violated, but then it held support, gave me a 1, 2, 3 entry as it crossed the dragon. I was noticing the PSAR flip here, but that's the size of the manageable risk box. So I decided to treat that as the tactical space. And then if it should get above here, this will be interesting. So I establish my stop here, and my job is to get my risk out of there in the tactical space and get to no lose plus dinner for 2. So let's see how this unfolded. We get the PSAR flip. I took the second position as it broke out above the previous peak of the RL10 in the interesting space. It continued to march. It recovered. It didn't even get through the dragon and recovered, so I added a third. But then it gave me like the little dragon horns. And you know, I get three positions on this thing, and it gave me this little false run up and then quick sell off, and I wanted that one to be in the money. So just take it. And this one is a 1 unit of risk. So about 1, 2, 3, 4 on the first one, 2 on the second one, and the last one is flat, so that's about another 6R. So that was about 18 for the day. Felt pretty good. Couldn't resist the last little piece. This one, now this was the quiz that I posted on Patreon and in the chat room. If you're holding this with 6R in hand, and you've seen this little PSAR, and the PSAR flips here, and you decided to get short with a standard risk box, that's your R10 risk box, and your idea is that this could get back to the belly of the dragon and the RL10, so you still got a couple more scoops that you could go, and you're holding about 1R in hand. Now the question is, where do you put your stop? Your stop was here, and now this is your break even. That's your no lose plus dinner for 2. There's the 2-bar high, the 1-bar high. Where do you put your stop? So let's call that 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. The 1 MRB, if we took this, it would be at 4. Seems reasonable to me. Lock it in, and it's a science project. I don't know how far it's going to fall. I don't even remember how far this one fell. But that's what that looked like. Now let's shift to the sectors. And I want you to notice that of the 2 broad sectors that we highlighted in last night's report and the representative samples of those sectors, there's the semiconductors, and here are the metals. So that's our 3 proxies for metals. Cliff, U.S. Steel, and Alcoa all getting smashed. They were the worst 3 out of the entire tactical set. There's the 0 line between pluses and minuses. There's the S&P baseline. And then there's the 3 semiconductors in the top half of the winners. So I don't care which way you want to go. Which way do you prefer? When you identify the market is in a critical state, and then you have sectors that are in a critical state, and then you have targets, what you can do is, which direction is the market going, which direction is the sector going with respect to the market, and if that's the one you want semis rather than metals because you want to go long, okay, which one of the 3 was the one you wanted? I picked Intel because that was the mover today right from the get-go. And then in the metals on the downside, I was in Alcoa because that was by far the worst performer during the day. So your job is to frame potential movers that are in critical states, then find the mover and then trade it. Target selection means a lot. All right, let's take a look at the sectors now. So here's the S&P, our baseline, up 2.38. The diamonds were better at 2.5. The Russell was about the same at 2.27. And then all the way down here, emerging markets and treasuries down 0.6 and 0.7. All right, let's take a look at the upsides. What made money today? There were fewer of them. So there's the S&P. Our sectors were commercial real estate, finance up 2.5, ARC Innovation 2.7, biotech, ARC Genomics 3.5, S&P Tech 4.35, compared to the NASDAQ Tech, which was 3%. That's where the money was. So we're not surprised when you see Intel, Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft. Those are the components of XLK. Robinhood had a good day at 3%. Apple was up 7.5%. Microsoft up 4%. That's why we track them. So to get into those, you had to see that the market was up, that tech was better, whether you're using XLK or Qs, and then realize that Apple, Microsoft, and Intel were all better. That's the logic chain at work. Find the movers. Trade the movers. All right, let's look at the underperformers. Again, there's the S&P at 2.3. Real estate and staples, 2.2. A big cluster here of the FANGs, Mexico, materials, wood, the other wood, uranium, discretionary, and clean energy all the way down from 1.25 all the way down to 0.09 and flat. This was then our cluster that was above the zero line and now making actual losses for the day. Ethereum, Bitcoin, oil exploration, marijuana, agriculture, Brazil, 0.57. Then a cluster here of the Aussie dollar, 0.88. Wheat and precious metals, oil, blended commodities down to 1.17. Lithium and the VIX, 2.34. What was the worst of all? The entire metals sector. Cliff, U.S. Steel, Alcoa, 3.3 to 4.6 in losses. You had PayPal, Coinbase in the financial disruptors at 0.72 and 0.55. Oh, I'm sorry, PayPal 1.26. This was Devon Energy in the energy sector. And then Rivian was basically flat at 0.06. So a real divergence in the sectors. And the biggest divergence of all, high-tech semiconductors up, basic metals down. Big disconnect. Up, down 4%, and the semis were up 7%. That's a divergence that you cannot help but notice when you're looking for it. All right, let's take a look at the traders. See how they did today. All right, Tim, I think you got to take a look at your target selection. Or you got to just read the signals and stop waiting for a clear direction. When you see a clear direction and then take it, you just saw the move that got paid. I'll say that again. If you wait for clarity and certainty about which way it's going, you may have just seen the move of the day. And if you're using this as your standard risk box from the PSAR flip and you're getting long here, you should be able to get out here, and that's about 2R. And the difference between plus 2R on that one and minus 1 on this one is a difference of net 3, and we're down 2 today, and that's where the difference in 3R was. And then here is a collapsing dragon. As it breaks below the VWAP, we got to get these. It comes to the VWAP and rejects. Those are two moves that are right in our wheelhouse. So I think you're waiting for confirmation, and you're trading in the chop here for sure. You've got to see the big move, wait for the exaggerated turn, and then the turning of the dragon and the crossing of the V. We got to be able to get that trade. But find the movers. The two symbols you've been trading lately have not been moving in the way that you're trading them, if I can say it that way. This one, I'm not sure why we're out of there. If you take that one and just follow the VWAP, you're going to get paid and not get chopped 3 times. This one is a nice trade. I like that one. I like the second position and the quick exit. Couple 2, 3 quick chops. After 3 and nothing, you might just wait 30 minutes and wait for this emerging dragon. But that one should have gotten you paid today. And this one. Those two should have gotten you paid. Nolan, let's see what we got here. All right, so we're below the VWAP. So we should be taking that trade. That's a good exit. I like this one. I like the stop and reverse. But now when you had 10 bars and no further collapse, you can't let that come back to 0. I do love the stop and reverse on the crossing of the VWAP and essentially a COTA 2. I want you to notice this price level right here, which is above the RL10, breaking above the VWAP and is about 2R in hand. That is screaming for a second position. And then any exit in this area, whether you're on the front end, I would rather see you on the far side of the hill taking that exit. That would make this even better. Here's a RLXD. There's a collapsing dragon. There's it crossing the VWAP. All of those get paid on that move. I like this long. I like that short. I like the scratch or the -1. And then there's our stop and reverse because you have a COTA 2. And we should get, well, okay, you were on call, so you weren't there. Nice. This entry here should be here. And then get paid in there. Now this one, with the stop down here, I like that. I think we got to be exiting much sooner than that. And then this one, oh, this must have failed right away. We might have I want you to notice what happens with price around the VWAP. When it breaks through, it goes. When it rejects, it fails. So there's some attention that needs to be paid to the VWAP. Woj. Cliff wasn't much. Let's see. Here's the OR3. You got short, -1. Look, did you get long there? Okay, you got long and quick scratch. If I'd like to be able to get a piece of that instead of scratching that, then this is a nice shot for +1. That's premature. I don't. Oh, okay. That's not an entry. Sorry. I like this short. I'd like to get paid no lose plus dinner for 2, so maybe somewhere in here to exit. Looks like you stopped in reverse. Oh no, here it is, and then quick scratch. So -0.7. We might have done a little better in here and capturing more of this. We let more than half of it get away. XRP. Yeah, getting paid. That's PSAR. Stop and reverse got paid. That's nice right there. So you're finding those. Yeah, okay. As usual. Kata 2, meeting time, regrets. That's a perfect Kata 2 right there. Double bottom support. Breaks out. That's a perfect trade. Solana, as per normal, crushing it for 3. 5 for the day, 25 for the week. Yeah, that's one where we want to get that. But that's a good shot getting paid. Good scratch, good scratch. Still, quick performance. This is on the. Okay, this is the last 50 trades. I'm going to start with the last 100 trades first because we want to look for some improvements. So his last 100 trades, the best trade he had was 6.5. Worst trade -1. That's good. No trades worse than -1. That's good. Have something like a normal looking curve out here to 2R. So the first thing, no large losses, normalish looking positive expectancy system out to 2R, and then the possibility of fat right tails for big wins. That's the histogram we want. His cumulative R is getting better and better all the time. Now, 41 winners, 43 losers, so that's a coin flip. And the average winner was 1.2 to the average loss of -0.6. So that's a coin flip that pays 2 to 1. You want that all the time. Imagine you could take that as a slot machine to Las Vegas. Um, they'd make you the king of the city if you joined the house. All right, here's the last 50 trades. He's building his proficiency and locking this in. So on the last 50 trades, the best win was 4. Worst loss was 1. Now his win rate went from essentially 5 to 4. And the win size of the wins are, let's see, 3 to 2. 15 to 8 is about 2 to 1 payoff. That's good work. Nothing worse than 1. Normalish looking curve. Fat right tails. Improved system quality number. I like it. Over to my, let's see, we'll check Bill's oil here. Got a standard entry on the breakout above the dragon. Takes a 0.5. I think you probably walked away and took your win. A trailing stop might have kept you in for this one. I think that's what you're saying. Boeing was one of our highlights stocks from yesterday in a follow through. There's the PSAR flip. That slow grind 1, 2, 3 finally has to take it. Immediately establishes his 2R battle drill. Here's the breakout above. Puts the second position on, which quickly loses, but the first one gets 1.9, so 1.4 for the day, or for that symbol that day. And then in McDonald's, which has been the king of the Dow, standard entry with his 2R battle drill technique. Notice it doesn't penetrate the dragon and makes a 1, 2, 3 entry. Gets the second position at 2R in hand. There's the 2R battle drill. Third position with actually 6R in hand, because the first one is +4 and the next one is +2, and it moved up 2R, so he gets he gets that second position there. This one rolls over and is out. So the third position earns 1.3, second position 2.6, 4.7, 8.6 total for that one, and 10 for the day. Nice work, brother. If you're in the sound of my voice and you want some coaching on that technique from my brother, you better lock him up now, because when our book gets published, I expect his time's going to be at a premium, and I would suggest you consider locking it in. All right, let's go to the weekend report. So still bearish normal. Now a much improved. You might think, oh, we're finally out of the woods. No, we're not. We're just at the interesting point in the bearish normal. This is where the last 4 times it's gotten smashed. So we need to be mindful of that. Monday will be new blended monthly rebalancing. You can see where the winners are right now going into the weekend. So the Russell, the diamonds in Latin America in ETF 13, energy Latin America in finance in ETF 32, energy in Brazil in 32. ETF 2 increased its exposure from 10% to 30% because of broader recovery across the board. I should say also the Risk Z, when that turned, has been a reliable alert that the possible upside was there. That's how you get this. We've already seen these, so we'll leap into blended monthly rebalancing portfolio review real quick. So 4 symbols above their 4-month moving average. Latin America diamonds, the Russell mid caps. Diamonds and the Russell. So take your pick, half growth, half conservative. You could do a lot worse than that. Well, actually, you can. Look at that. You can do a lot worse. Real estate, that maybe this is a sign. We'll be mindful. I went back and looked at the last 20 years of real estate against the S&P and the Russell. Real estate, IYR, has a better average return, a better upside on the maximum performance, pays a 5.5 or 6% dividend, and in every way is better than stocks. Just go figure. I'll probably talk about that tomorrow night. ETF 22, we now add the XL series so you can see what has the juice: energy, finance, healthcare, industrials, staples. On the weak side, just no love whatsoever for the internationals and treasuries. ETF 32, we add some focused foreign countries and some tighter sectors like XOP and Brazil. This is an opportunity to me that is simply the reason why I trade it in both directions. Oh, my brother says he's working with Constantine, our prop trader. They're going to produce a prop trading overview course in which Constantine's going to walk you through how he got into that, what it takes to do it, and how he has been able to adapt our systems to that situation. So he's trading $1 million worth of other people's money right now and keeping a nice percentage of the profits. But you got to prove that you can trade to get that kind of stuff done, and you've seen his work in there. This one ought to just get your attention. China 25, just getting obliterated here. You don't see much talk of that in the press. The Dow 30, Caterpillar, Honeywell, a great American tech company, Visa. So I want to see where the juice is and get those on my short list for sniper patterns. That's another way you find the movers. This chart on the weekend helps me find the swing movers, and then I can apply the same patterns to those as I do to the intraday sniper trades of the day. We teach that in the hybrid course. ETF Max. This is the large set of ETFs that are liquid. All of the formerly great ones took a back seat today. Now we're seeing a little bit of the second tier coming in. Biotech. Financials. Financials and small cap growth. That's the one. If this is going to have legs, that's going to lead the way out on rising optimism. And then notice that the Russell is having a day. World market model. U.S. generally above average except for the NASDAQ. Latin America, Brazil, and Mexico have been dominated until the last couple days. Energy, the only sector that's been consistently strong. Now our ETF2 model. Winners continue to win. That's the greens and the greens. But then there have been a few with the white and green where a little weakness is creeping in. Bonds, T-bills, banks. White and green means that those bond funds may just be done. They were great, are now just good. Make sure you're preserving your profits. Looking at the liquid tradables for intraday and short-term swing using ATR percentage. The top 30 ETFs by average daily dollar volume over the last 30 days. And these are both liquid and volatile. So semiconductors, biotech, discretionary. Brazil, China, oil exploration, and gold miners. We'll shift to the daily report, dashboard number 1, excuse me. We've seen that bear normal, much improvement, pointing to the way to the possible swings. Warnings about possible dead cat bounces, and that's the one I just want to emphasize. I know it feels good today, but as I tried to show on the opening chart, that the last 3 or 4 times it's been in exactly this condition, the bear has woken up and taken a bite out of crime. Min Pains, McDonald's, Caterpillar, and Diamonds. That's 3 good winners right there. And then the Max Pains are the tech companies that are still lagging. Microsoft, Boeing, and Tesla. And then a metals company, Chevron, and there's China. The Max Pains are movers. The tail of the tape here and the tactical summary. All the big breakouts, not a surprise because they've been beaten down so much for so long. Lots of warnings about dead cat bounces. Nothing on the auto framer because we pushed to new 10-day highs today. That's not surprising. That's just math. Intel and Apple on the long side. Alcoa on the short side. You saw those trades today. Find the movers. ETF Tactical, still pretty strong performance, a little more muted than the Dow US large caps. Again, 3 symbols that tested on the auto framer. Brazil's going to have my attention because it had been so strong, and then the sharp sell-off now makes it vulnerable for a rebound. So I like that one. Standard work. Jumping into the snipers, VIX and agriculture in the tactical symbol set. A handful of enraged Godzillas already. That's our boy, King of the Monsters. Quick stats check, sniper stats check on the 1-day movers. Again, these are the ones that have made the largest statistical 1-day move compared to their previous volatility. These are all the ones that are better than 2 sigma to the upside. These two, Gilead Sciences, for instance, almost a 6 sigma move. HII is one that's interesting because it was very, very quiet over 5 days and just flashed green light, starting to move now. Inside are the most volatiles based on the 5-day. Lots of good choices in there. I like the ones that are double green. They are moving hard now. That's momentum, and you can frame momentum. Momentum attracts money. Auto framer stats for the snipers. Sniper stats for the tactical set. I like Microsoft and Intel. I will never not love the real estate. And tech had a big day today. XLK and the Qs. All kinds of goodwill and joy. Summer and spring. That's when bears wake up. This is instructive. You can see the things that were not getting it done today. A couple financial disruptors in U.S. Steel and the other Metal's getting smoked. But otherwise, all the joy, energy, McDonald's, man, just McDonald's. You saw the 9R trade my brother put in. That's got to be on your radar. Weakness and strength, a tale of two different subsets right there. Which direction do you like to trade? This was very encouraging. The fact that it did not fail further opens the door to possibilities of gains, and it made a new 30-day high. All right, that's everything I got for us today. We'll get this published and posted, and we shall see you tomorrow. Story Circle for counseling in the morning. Ken H's swing trade frames in the evening. Creativity Story Circle Sunday morning and Monday night. And we shall see you in the chat room.